14 years ago, I died. Almost. It was a beautiful spring day. I was walking in the woods with my youngest daughter sleeping in the pushchair. I remember the song of the birds. I remember the sound of the wind in the trees and the green color in the forest. And of course, I remember the beautiful face of my sleeping daughter. The next thing that happened that day was a very strange itching on very odd places in my body. Inside the palm of my hands, underneath my feet, inside my ear, it was itching like crazy. And suddenly I felt a bit sick in my belly. I don't remember very much from this day, but the next thing I remember is me running with a pushchair out from the woods. I found a parking place and I took the brakes on the pushchair and I found a stone to sit on. And then I remember some people passing by and I tried to shout to them, tried to scream or say hello or get attention, but they were just passing by and I couldn't understand why they didn't stop to help me. But finally, I managed to call my dad and he said, "I'm coming." It felt like time stood still. So I called him over again, only 30 seconds after. And he said, very calm and steady, "The ambulance is on its way." The next thing I remember is the sound of my father's bike and the sound of his steady voice. And then I died. Almost. Some hours later, I woke up at the hospital. And the first thing I saw was my dad's face. We were laughing, we were crying, and when I understood how close I was to death, I said, "It's true what they say, that the last thing you lose is your hearing." What happens in your brain when I tell you this story? The hormone oxytocin is activated. And oxytocin makes you feel empathy. It makes you feel trust. And it makes me relatable. In my speech, I will give you stories that activates neurotransmitters and those hormones. I want to show you how important storytelling is in your daily life, in business life, and in leadership. I will also talk about a study made by Professor Karin Mösch from the University of Lund in Sweden. She made a PhD on psychological momentum, or what we call flow, on the handball court. Her findings are very interesting to put in my field, which is leadership and business culture. She was looking at each player and she was looking at the team in a whole. And what she found was that each player needs to know her or his role. And it's also very important that they are motivated, and the team as a whole, they need to communicate very much. So how can we put this into leadership? As a leader, you need to know these psychological functions, and you need to know what happens when you give a high five, when you give a thumbs up, when you smile at each other. Something is happening then. And it's very interesting to look at her findings. How can you, as a leader, activate those good hormones that gives your employees the feeling of flow and to become the winning team? By understanding how stories activates your feelings, and by watching a really good handball match.